Hi everyone, my name's Daryl. So I'm the proud owner of this 1994 Mustang GT. Over the last 6 months, I've been working on getting this car roadworthy again. It didn't start for a while, so I pulled the gas tank off and replaced the fuel pump, and that got the car working again. I replaced the fuel sending unit to get the fuel gauge working again. I was having some overheating problems and I burped the car. Just recently I actually replaced the windshield washer pump, and so that works now as well. But what's been driving me totally batty is the speedometer and the odometer. And it's sort of intermittent. So it'll start off kind of working initially and being pretty solid, and then all of a sudden the speedometer just starts going crazy, jumping around. And when the speedometer doesn't work, also the odometer doesn't work. And recently, over the past couple of weeks, the speedometer and the odometer really haven't worked at all. So I've been doing some research on the internet, looking at YouTube videos and stuff, and everybody says, maybe it's the speedometer cable. I guess early Mustangs used a speedometer cable that would kind of spin internally. So that could be an issue. Some people basically said there could be like some sort of a fault in the system. So there could be a short circuit. There could be a bad ground. There could be a bad cable going to the instrument cluster. And so there's a lot of different things. And I kind of checked all my grounds and everything seemed fine. So today what I'm going to do is just get underneath the car, see if I can locate where that speed sensor is and where the cable should be coming out of that speed sensor, just to see if I can kind of see anything and locate everything. And then, I think my first step would probably to be replace the speed sensor. That seems like that would be the easiest thing to do. Maybe perhaps there's usually like a gear inside the speed sensor that connects to the speedometer cable. Sometimes that gear can go bad, so that could be possibly an easy thing for me to do as well. But let's go ahead and get underneath the car and look. So I've got the car already on jack stands, fully supported. I kind of use these little 2x4s basically just to kind of lift the car just a little bit so I could get a jack underneath it because it's so low. So let's go ahead and get underneath the car and let's see what we see. All right, so I've located basically the transmission, or at least kind of the end of the transmission, and right there in black. I'll try to get some better pictures of it. I'm just doing video right now and the video isn't coming out all that great. But I think that's the speed sensor, that little black piece. But coming out of that speed sensor are a couple of cables. And so they're not wrapped. So I don't think this is actually a speedometer cable. What I think this is a negative and positive. So we got a ground coming out of that as well as the positive cable coming out of that. And I think it's going to the instrument cluster, and those cables right there are really close together, if not actually touching. So I don't know if maybe it's just as simple as separating those cables. Maybe they're short-circuiting kind of the speedometer and the odometer, and maybe just by getting those two cables further apart, I don't know if that's going to fix our problem. So I'm going to separate those two cables. I'll get a picture of that, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off the jack stands and drive it and see what happens. So let me do that, and we'll be back with you in just a second. All right, guys, so this is kind of the moment of truth here. Got the car started, and I'm going to take off, and I'm going to see if that speedometer is moving. Like I said, it was intermittent, but over the last couple of weeks, it really hasn't worked hardly at all. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Yeah. It's solid as a rock. All right, I'm not going to celebrate quite yet, because really when I had problems, it was on the freeway. So I'm going to go ahead and take it on the freeway and check it out, and then I'll be back with you to see. All right, you guys, so I'm on the freeway, cruising along at about 70 miles an hour, and yep, the speedometer is just solid as a rock. Let me show you. So yeah, that's the speedometer there. We're going 70 miles an hour, and I'm totally sure that I have fixed the issue. So I've been driving for about 15 minutes and no problems at all, no glitches, no flakiness, no jumping around. Yeah, so let me drive home, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So I guess that fixed the issue. I can't believe something so simple has been just driving me crazy. If you do own a SN95 Mustang, make sure, and if you are having speedometer problems, make sure to get underneath the car and just look at those cables, just to make sure that that speedometer cable, or whatever you want to call it, making sure those two leads aren't actually getting close to one another, because that fixed the issue. I still need to get underneath the car, get some heat, shrink wrap, and get those cables wrapped up so that they don't touch one another. But other than that, I think this car is really doing great. I still have a couple of things to fix. The AC still doesn't work, so I need to figure that out. But other than that, I think I've fixed everything on this car. If you are in the market, I'm going to be selling this at some point. It's a 1994 Mustang GT. It's only got 70,000 miles on it, and it's going to be pretty much perfect. It runs like a dream, and you know, I fixed everything on it. So yeah, it's going to be a great car for somebody. If you got some value from this video, please like it, and also consider subscribing to my channel. And I hope to see you in the next one again very soon.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.